Right then, so that's the floor done now. Just a quick recap. So we've got a brand new floor pan in there, and we've got some repairs up on the toe board. That's all good. Next step is we need to get the jacking point in here, and we need to get the outer sill on, and then the doorstep replaced. So we've got our repair panels here. We've got a outer sill. Now this is a Magnum outer sill. I've no problems with these. I've used them in the past. They're obviously not the oversill type, but they're absolutely fine. And we have the repair section for the end of the cross member, which also doubles up as the jacking point. Now this repair is actually quite tricky because you have to make sure this is welded in exactly the right place, because it aligns with the hole in the sill here for jacking it up, as you can see. However, it's not a perfect fit, and there's some fettling required around these edges. And then of course we have to try and make sure that that is welded on in exactly the right place on the sill, which is a bit tricky. So I will have to do some measuring up and aligning. You'll see what I mean. So there. So we've got to make sure that that is welded in exactly the right place, because a little bit too far back or a little bit too far forward, and it won't line up with the hole underneath. Now this is like an extended repair section for the cross member extension jacking point. This bit of metal up here goes up further than it does do on the standard original part. Now, not quite sure why. It gives you a little bit more to weld to, I guess. And the lip then just comes in underneath where the spot welds are for the doorstep. I might actually take a 2 or 3 mil off there just to make sure that it's not going to interfere with the doorstep seam along here. So like I say, this is actually quite a tricky bit because you have to make sure that you get it all aligned up perfectly. So a bit of fiddling around, a little bit of measuring before you start. The first thing I need to do, so obviously we've done all our repairs on the inner sill here, that's all good. I need to separate the existing, so I've taken the outer sill off, however we've still got the second layer there. So I need to unpick the spot welds underneath here and carefully go along and get back to one lip. So that's the first thing we'll do, I think. What I tend to do, you'll see me in a moment, I'll put some metal aluminium foil tape along the bottom of here. It's just there to protect if I slip with the drill, if I slip with a wire wheel or something like that. It just prevents me damaging the paint. It's probably all going to get resprayed anyway, but we might as well just be cautious. So that probably only took a couple of minutes in time lapse, but it's not an easy job to do laying on your back. You're just literally picking out every single spot weld. It's obviously really important to have a good sharp spot weld drill. They're the type I use. They're only about £8. They last quite a while. And you just go along and just pick each one out by turn, but it's really, really important to make sure you get back to good clean metal. As I've said many a times before about welding, you can't weld rust to good metal. So we've got good metal on both sides now. I will just put some weld through primer on there, and I've just started cleaning up the lip along here. Now the next bit I think is probably going to be getting that jacking point in. So I'll probably clamp the sill in place and then see if I can position the jacking point in the right place. Right, so that's the sill pretty much ready to go on. The only thing I do need to do before the sill goes on is I need to paint all the inside of the sill. But this jacking point, you cannot do it without that doorstep being taken out, because you've got to weld up the top here. Now I've probably gone a bit overkill on the welds. I did sort of realise when I drilled out these plug welds that I could have got my spot welder in to do these bits, but to be honest, I think plug welds like this are stronger than a spot weld anyway. So I've spot welded through there, and I've just put some tacks across the or run some seam weld across the top as well, just for a bit of extra strength. Obviously these bottom bits need to plug weld onto the sill as well. But like I say, now it's just a case of painting and protecting all of that inside. Then we'll get that outer sill on, doorstep on, and then happy days. What next? I think we'll probably do this flitch panel then. Yeah, good progress. very good progress. I'm pleased actually. I've been ill the last couple of days. I dragged myself out in the garage today. I don't know whether you can hear it in my voice, but I'm still a bit bunged up. But yeah, just nice to make a bit of progress on the car. And just, I know some people delete the jacking point when they do seals. They'll just cover that hole up and delete it. But this, actually, when you look at this piece of metal here, how it's welded in, how it ties the inner seal to the outer seal, there's actually a fair bit of strength in there. So I know that jacking point is not ideal to use, but tell you what 1 o'clock in the morning some night, when you've got a puncture, you'll be glad that you still have an original jacking point that works, rather than having to wait for someone to come and rescue you. And I think also, when I look at Minis, when I go to buy them, if I see that the jacking point's been deleted, it does make you wonder what it's like behind the jacking point. Is it all a mess? Has it been bodged up? Our seal is just about ready to go on now. So as you can see, I have painted all of the areas inside the cavity, or what will be the cavity when the seal goes back on. So the silver bits are obviously weld through primer. That's where we're going to be spot welding through. These bits are obviously plug weld, so you have to work out where you can get the spot welder and where you need to plug weld. So we've got them all marked out now. Same on the actual car itself and underneath. So inside that cavity will be nicely protected now. Now obviously we will still go, once that's all welded back in, go with some probably Dynax S50 cavity wax, just to give it that added protection. But that is going to last for years. That is. The paint I'm used, just because it's nice and easy to use and it gives pretty good protection, is just Hammerite smooth dark green. To be honest, it's very much like British Racing Green, but without the metallic in it. So it's good for just, I mean, these areas you're never going to see again. And the great thing about Hammerite, you can just go direct to metal, direct to rust. Although all the rust has been cleaned off and cure rusted beforehand. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. So next episode, we'll be spot welding this in and welding it back on. Really doesn't take long now. Once it's all prepped, it's literally probably only about a half-hour job to get the spot welder out, line it up, get it all welded in. So hope you enjoyed this week's video. Please remember, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you are not a subscriber, do please consider subscribing. Leave a comment if you want to know anything, words of encouragement, that sort of thing. And catch you again next time. Thanks, bye.